Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Sorry I'm a little late on getting this video out today. It's been kind of a rough day around here. We've done all right with the cold, but my truck decided to break down today, and I've spent the whole day getting it going. Finally got it working, but it delayed me on getting a video out, so I apologize for that. And then yesterday, I'm assuming because of the cold weather and the snowing and everything, the internet service was so slow, there was just no way I was going to be able to upload anything. So apologize for that also. Are you guys doing all right? Are you handling the cold? I know that there are still some places in the U.S. that aren't experiencing the frigid cold, but the vast majority is, especially down in like Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma. For those of you down there, I feel for you. It's rough. Over 4 million, I think 4.4 million without power across the United States. Most of it's concentrated in Texas, it looks like. And then there's been the rolling blackouts in other states, even here in Missouri in a few places. They didn't do that here, but some of the bigger cities was doing that. Here's the thing. Why are there people standing in line trying to get food? Have you noticed that? Have you seen that on the news or online, especially in Texas? I've seen it in Austin, Fort Worth, Houston, Texas. It was showing, grocery stores with lines way down the street, hundreds and hundreds of people standing in line. Places that sell propane and propane accessories. People were just hundreds of people in line trying to get them. People should have been ready for this. They were talking about this 2 weeks ago. And I understand it's the South, and a lot of people are saying, oh, those people down in the South, they don't know how to deal with winter, and they don't. They don't know. This is an unusual thing for them. And so, yes, it's caught them off guard. But of all years, this past year should have taught everyone at least something about being a little bit more prepared. And apparently it did not sink in very well. And this, my friends, is why we prep. And not just so that we don't run out, but because when things get bad, guess what? It's happening again. And this has been happening for a year now. Back last spring, when the whole health crisis went crazy and people were rushing out and, grocery stores were running out of food and everyone was buying everything up. And then for the past several months, and it's still going on in many places, there's lines and lines of people just trying to get food because, at food banks, because they can't afford to buy food. They've lost their job or whatever has happened. And then now we've got this, probably the harshest winter in over a century. I know here in Missouri where I'm at, they said that the last time we've had temperatures this cold for this long was about 130 years ago. So here we have a really bad crisis. I mean, this is an SHTF. Now, it doesn't have to be for you. If you're unprepared, it's an SHTF. If you're prepared, it may be uncomfortable. Things might not work, kind of like my truck decided to break down today. But we should be able to get through it all right because we're prepared. And that's why we do this. I mean, sure, we're prepared for big things like, civil war and, economic crash and all this kind of stuff, pandemics. But, what we're seeing happen right now is a perfect example of why you should prepare. And, looking at how people are reacting to this, and it's because they weren't prepared. I've talked to people that are in my family that aren't preppers. Yes, I have them. And they've, said, man, they're struggling. They're worried because they don't have any food and they or they can't cook what they have because they're out of power or they can't get to the store because of the snow and the ice. And I've told them, you should have prepared. This is why you should stock up on things. And then, of course, there's this other thing going on with the weather, that obviously the power outages, and what it is, it's proving once again that this green energy thing is not sustainable. It's not any more sustainable than coal or anything else. I mean, we don't even have to go into the fact that all this stuff that's supposedly green energy, the windmills and the solar panels, they use probably way more energy and make a bigger carbon footprint to produce them than you pretty much ever get back, and or produce more junk into the atmosphere than just using coal or nuclear. And then guess what? It doesn't work in bad weather. Wow, big shock. A lot of the windmills are froze up in Texas, and I guess depending on what numbers you look at, anywhere between 18 and 20% of Texas's utilities or electric come from these wind turbines. Germany, they're experiencing the same thing. Their turbines are froze up. They're big fields of solar panel farms. They're all covered in snow and ice and aren't working. So this is the reality of what many of us have said. Now, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, solar is great. Windmills are great if you use them properly and understand that they're not, you're going to have downtime. But switching over just to them and not doing it in a gradual way to where there's kind of backups and everything. This is part of this Green New Deal, and they're going to shove that Green New Deal down our throats. They've already said that. They've already talked about it, all the different policy changes. And just because this winter has proven the fragility of those systems isn't going to stop them. They're gonna push through even harder. And then it's kind of funny because this weather brings up three big things: the food, the green energy, and then grand solar minimum. I talked about it the other day. Look at what's happening all over the world. This harsh weather, and it's very highly unusual. I mean, many places are setting records. I think I saw today that last night 36 major cities in the U.S. set record lows. This is possibly and most likely going to be the norm for a while, and we have to start getting used to that. It doesn't mean it's going to be cold in the summertime. It's probably going to be hotter in the summertime and colder in the wintertime, and drier in some places or wetter in some places. That's how it works. It's changing things around because of the grand solar minimum, the poles shifting. That's something else we don't talk about too much on here, but it is happening. And so all of this stuff combined, it's funny how just this weather brings up three big major topics for discussion. In the end, how many more times does prepping need to be proved to be a smart and successful and wise and great investment? But here again we are, and those of us that have been prepared to handle this kind of weather and all the things that come with it, not just the cold, but maybe not getting out, maybe not getting to the grocery stores running out of food, electricity going out, fuel, not being able to get fuel, a lot of things going on. I heard someone yesterday, they were trying to get fuel for their generator because they have a generator, but they didn't get any fuel or didn't get enough fuel. And so they finally were able to get to a gas station. They couldn't find any gas stations working because everything's out of power and all the gas stations were shut down. This is part of prepping, folks. And I know in a lot of ways I'm preaching to the choir, but this is why we do this. And it doesn't take that much. Some prepping friends of mine that are prepared and they're living through this, they actually are in Texas, and they said that they're doing pretty good. They haven't even had to get in on their preps. They're there and they're available, but they're surviving, and that they were prepared for the power outages and all that kind of stuff. and they're doing all right. But there's many other stories floating around of people that are really suffering right now because they were so unprepared for such drastic weather. And folks, if you aren't getting as prepared as you should, this should be one more wake-up call, as if 2020 and 2021 hasn't been enough wake-up calls. But here's another one. Very frigid sub-zero temperatures and power outages all over the United States, and food lines, half a mile or more long at grocery stores, not able to get fuel for certain items. Folks, you need to be stocking up, because just because this is a temporary thing, it will warm up eventually. This kind of stuff isn't going away. I mean, we've been seeing this now quite a bit over the past year. Think about it. Think about how many times in the past year there's been stories of food lines getting to grocery stores, food lines, food bank lines. It's been more and more and more. It's not going away, especially with all the policies coming out of Washington, D.C. It's not going to get any better for a while, folks, when it comes to people running out of stuff and not being prepared. So probably right now is not the best time to start being a prepper, or at least going out and stocking up, because there's probably not a whole lot out there. But you certainly need to be getting serious about this. And I know there are some people that listen, they're on the fence and they're wanting to do it and they're kind of learning, but they haven't really started. And for those of you, you've really gotta buckle down and make it a priority in your life, because you're living in a time right now that you can't put preparedness on a back burner anymore and just do it when you have time or when you're able to do it. It's got to be a fairly high priority in your life because of the world that we live in. All right, guys and gals, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.